This is what I kind of quoted. Because of lack of time, I made already 30 handouts. I cannot cover it in 1 hour, so I left many quotations. I hope you will bear with this. Later on, we can probably come there. So then, there is another added reason according to Lakan this. Moreover, had he immediately gone for his stepfather, go for a stepfather means go for killing him, wouldn't this be because he had found a perfect opportunity to get rid of, I made a mistake here, to get rid of his own guilt. That means he could have killed him. Lakan says that there are two reasons why he should kill him. Because his father told him, and if Freudian assumption is correct, he deserves his mother. So if he thought his own father as a competitor, why he not think of his uncle as another competitor? So there is no reason he should not kill him. Moreover, if he felt guilty in the childhood, that I wanted to kill my father but I did not, happily. But this uncle killed, so by killing the uncle I can get rid of my own guilt. This is Lacan's internal critique of the early new Freudian analysis. Now, Lacan says that the real question is elsewhere. It is a question of desire, but people have made this simple mistake. It is not a question of the child's desire for the mother, but it is the child's assumption of the mother's desire. For example, the man mother desires, the child also desires him. That is why probably he cannot kill. This is Lacanian. I just summarized from this issue 25, 1982, on page 20. This is in the French edition. The desire at stake is far from being Hamlet's desire. It is not his desire for his mother. Rather, it is his mother's desire. His mother's desire for his, let us say now, his uncle. He knows that mother loves that uncle. Now he is at a loss whether to kill. If the early neo-Freudian explanation were correct, then he would have got rid of his own guilt feeling as well as he would have got rid of a rival and he would take possession of his mother. But he cannot do this. Why he cannot do this? This is our question. He loses his desire, we will see. Once he comes to know that his father was murdered and most treacherously, and it was told to him by no other figure than the ghost of his own father. He did not get it from hearsay, he did not get it from rumor. Suppose he did not see, it was an illusion, it was an imaginary. But at the same time, he heard it from that imaginary voice. It is almost like revelation. After that, the whole perspective changes. Then his inaction begins. And we'll see. For example, I'm making a first run through the material, then after we'll come back. This is the most talked about. I'm guided by you see, man's desire is the desire of the other. My desire is also your desire. Because people want to know about the most difficult things. This is called the famous closet scene. He confronts his mother and takes mother to task. Mother, how could you not even wait 3 months? How could you not even wait for me to return? And your husband, good husband is dead, and you immediately got rid of him, even of his memory, and got married. You did not go through the ritual of iddat as Muslims do. So what is this? It says, why and how can she desire this spiteful, inadequate, unworthy object, this king of shreds and patches? This is from Hamlet's own soliloquy. He talks about the king. This is a king. A king is a thing of nothing. He almost speaks in a Lacanian vein. I don't know who influences whom. Shakespeare was almost Lacanian. You will see this. Well, what is the king? He said a king is a thing of nothing. That means Lacan famously says, the man who thinks he is the king is a fool. There is a reason why. The great famous French king in the late 18th century or early 17th century said what? I am the state. And Lacan said he must be a fool. Let us see, there are many fools among us also, by the way. This is nothing new. Then the second question is this. How could she, name is Gertrude, mother, abandon so quickly, without waiting even a month, the splendid object? I wrote very quickly, probably this A should not be there. The splendid object that was Hamlet's father, and go for this wretch that can give her but some fleeting satisfaction. That means in the closet scene, Hamlet was confronting his mother with this question, how could you not wait? And okay, but how could you go for this wretched thing? Your husband was such a great man, such a noble man, how could you not live up to that standard? this has become a point of feminist debate, but I will hold on that right now. What is Hamlet's business choosing a husband for her mother? But he says that the memory of the father is here, so you betrayed. This is the point. The question of knowledge and the question of betrayal will come. Now let us go back a little bit. What is the point of Goethe's criticism? His point that the tragedy is a tragedy of knowledge. Hamlet knew too much, so he could not act. This is a common criticism against advanced theory. Too much theory will lead you to no action, no ball. It's a no ball theory, right? And the other desire is, what is the Freudian criticism? In one word, we love all one word criticism, that it is desire. Hamlet's own desire has prevented him from killing. So the two explanations come from two different ends, knowledge and desire. And you will say, Lakan will say that it is both a question of desire as well as of knowledge. Goethe, though a great poet, can be a bad critic. That is Lacan's point. See, the question of knowledge comes here. For example, this is Goethe criticism refuted in 4 points. I have learned this from ULab, how to make things in bullet points so that students like it. That is one point. On several occasions. We say that Hamlet is a man in action. Believe me, I have a book here. I will show you the page of the book. I will not read it. No, I didn't bring it here. The book says that perhaps Hamlet was a woman in disguise. That's why he cannot act. Believe me. In the 19th century, some critic wrote that Hamlet was a woman in disguise. Another said he was too fat. That's why he could not act. There are many other things. He should have gone to the gyms and other slimming mechanisms. But what does Lacan points out these 4 things? To refute Goethe, he says this, on several occasions we have seen Hamlet has no problem whatsoever with acting. So how can you say he is unable to act? Yes, he is unable to kill Claudius. There we need a particular explanation. General explanation will not work. For example, he did the following actions. He kills Polonius without a twitch. This is how my friend Shanwas Kabir began this presentation. This famous or infamous Polonius. He was a spy, working like a spy for the king. And he was a sycophant. All the good virtues of modern courtier is there. So, no problem. And this Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, Shakespeare used to love European Jews. These 2 members of the jury were sent along with Hamlet to England as an exile after his punishment. But on discovering the, what you call, conspiracy, Hamlet was able to kill them. Let's say he sends Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to death with no remorse. And finally, the difficulty Hamlet has with this act of killing Claudius lies therefore in the nature of this particular act. Hamlet could act, he could kill, he could do other things, but he lost 2 things. You have noticed another thing. He was very friendly, he was about to marry, he was engaged with Ophelia. But all of a sudden, he lost all desire for Ophelia too. As a result of which, to make a very long story short, it leads to her suicide. But when she dies, you will see that when she was being laid to grave on the burial ground, Hamlet's desire comes back when he finds a competitor in her brother. When Laertes, in his love for his dead sister, jumps into the grave, then Hamlet stands up and says, I, Hamlet the Dane. He resumes his desire. This is what I insinuated by my second title. I said, desire lost and desire found. Let us see what happens. Hamlet's knowledge. So the real question is Hamlet's, not his too much knowledge, but a particular kind of knowledge. What is at stake, according to Lacan, is not simply Hamlet's knowledge, but his knowledge about the knowledge of his father. Because his father told him in the form of a ghost, my son, I have been murdered. Most treacherously, I have been murdered. So when a father says, I am dead, it is not enough. He says, I am dead in 2 senses. In one sense, I passed away. I am dead in my body. In another sense, I am betrayed. I am cheated out of my symbolic function. I am no more your father. You have got another father in place of your father. So that is symbolic betrayal. My friend, have you ever wondered why a father is called a dad in English without a E? deity. A father is usually called a dad. Sylvia Plath, for example, daddy, daddy. So why do you call father daddy? I don't know whether it has got any connection with this sound. I'm only making bizarre. A father by definition has to be dead. A dead father is more powerful than a living father. Actually, I wrote such an article many years ago. It was printed in Nurul Kabir's infamous New Age. It's called The Story of a Dead Father. So here, father's knowledge. What did the father know? This is, people who are sitting at the back, please, there are 2 more seats here. Please help yourselves. What distinguishes Hamlet's drama from that of Oedipus? This is the crucial question. Some people say Hamlet's desire is Oedipal desire. Lakan begs to disagree again. He says, the desire of Oedipus and desire of Hamlet are opposed to each other. For example, when Oedipus killed his father, he did not know. Moreover, his father did not know that that was his son. Similarly, when he married his mother, he did not know that it was his mother, neither did his mother knew. But in this Hamletian case, everybody knows everybody. And it was particularly whether the murder took place or not has been informed by the ghost of the father. You might take a little bit, let's say, exception to the fact of the ghost. Whether the ghost is telling him the truth or it is only imaginary or symbolic. So therefore I began my presentation with these 3 distinctions. Desire imaginary, desire symbolic, and desire real. His pain is real, but we will see the father is symbolic father, but a father can be imaginary father as well. So these 3 functions, in a mathematical sense, these are the 3 functions of the father. The question is that his father says, I was not only physically killed, I have been deprived of my symbolic function. I have been killed in the most treacherous way. And after this knowledge is revealed to Hamlet, what becomes his obligation? Here is the question. What distinguishes Hamlet's drama from that of Oedipus, and what in the first place sets off the whole drama from that of Oedipus is the fact that the father knows. The dead father knows what has happened to him, and by a mysterious way, a mystical way rather, it has been communicated. So, here is the intermixture of mixing of knowledge with desire. He knows that he is dead, which does not only refer to the empirical fact that he passed away, it refers above all to the fact that he was betrayed, that he was cheated out of his symbolic function, and that also as love object he was immediately abandoned by the queen. That he is disloved, if I may make a barbarous word like that. So mother's desire and father's knowledge together constitutes this difficult Hamlet's desire. His desire is his mother's desire, therefore he cannot kill. But his knowledge is father's knowledge, therefore he has to kill. So when you are opposed by the currents, it becomes inaction. What is at stake is not simply the fact that the other knows. When I put the word other with a capital, this is the symbolic function. When I put it with only small o, that will be called imaginary function. We have to use many other. In Bengali, we have 3 words. Apon, por, opor, porom. So por and opor, how they are different. I will talk about that another occasion. So this is father in the function of the porom, the other, the last one. And that's why God in heaven is often called father by the Christians. This is the father function in the symbolic function. When I use the word symbolic function, it is borrowed from Claude Lévi-Strauss by Lakan. And Lakan now names it called the symbolic order. I will go in that order. What is the real tragedy is that the symbolic order breaks down. When the symbolic order breaks down, the hell is let loose. It becomes all violent, all killing, all orgy, all blood. And at some point Hamlet begins to talk. I can now only think in terms of blood. So the fact is this. The subject, I italicized and made it a bit colorful with the poor color sense I have, is called the subject. This is a new concept introduced by Lakan, for your kind information. In Freud, you will never ever see this term subject. It is Lakan's little bit. Shoibal digire bole uchcho kore shir. Likhe rekho ek phota dilem shishir. This is Lakan's drop of dew into the psychoanalytic literature. The subject knows that the other knows. The son knows that the father knows. Read it that way. So Lakan points out that there is a direct correlation between what on the side of the subject can be expressed in terms of the other doesn't know, and the constitution of the unconscious. This is what I talked last time about the structure of the unconscious. One is the reverse side of the other. This is a bit, I know, abstract and theoretical. In our unconscious, why we say the other doesn't know? That's why we can commit all kinds of sins. I often tell the story of Indira Gandhi writing to her father when she was 14 years old. Jawaharlal Nehru was in British prison at that time. He was in prison for 15 years. So Indira wrote to her father, "Father, tell me, I'm now growing up, what is sin?" What can a father tell her from the prison? He wrote that, "Amma, don't do things that you cannot tell your father. If you cannot say anything to your father, that is sin." I think this is called, so we do often sins assuming that father don't know. So we create a second version for the father, which is called perversion. Perversion can be divided into two. Per means father, version means version. So if you make a second story for the father, that is called perversion. You do things, but you don't tell your father. So here you see, the other doesn't know. We assume that আমরা যত পাপ পুণ্য করে যাচ্ছি মনে করি কি আল্লাহ তো দেখতেছে না, এটা না করলে তো পাপ করতে পারতো না। এই জন্য বলে কি মুসলমানরা 5 ওয়াক্ত নামাজ পড়লে আসসালাতু মিফতাহুল জান্নাত, নামাজ বেহেশতের চাবি সব বেবি ট্যাক্সির পিছনে দেখা যায় না? নামাজ পড়লে এটা করতে পারবেন না, কারণ ওই চাবিটা লুকিয়ে রাখলে আপনি সব করতে পারবেন। The other doesn't know, and the constitution of the unconscious, there is a connection between the two. You think that there is a pretension, the other doesn't know, and that is the area. The unconscious is something like that. I'll come to that in a minute. To put it very simply, this is very unsimple, and so let me make it simple. The presupposition that the other doesn't know is what helps to maintain the bar that separates the unconscious from the conscious. We write in the Lakanian algebra S over S. This over thing is called a bar. So unconscious over conscious or conscious over unconscious, the bar is the more important thing. We sometimes ignore it, or sometimes you do it as a forward slash. This slash or bar, he says that to put it very simply, the presupposition that the other doesn't know, father will never know, is what helps to maintain the bar that separates the unconscious from the conscious. Okay. Now comes the question of madness. I'm jumping a little bit. Everybody knows that he pretends to be a madman. The problem is that we all are mad, insofar as Hamlet is mad. I ask you one question? Why people get so much alert about when I tell the story of Oedipus, or even for that matter Hamlet today? I know I draw your attention not because of any oratory, despite what Shahnamaz Kabir has said. It's not my oratory, it is the problem that draws your attention. Even if I am a very bad orator, still you will curse me, but you will not curse Hamlet, because he is touching a chord, so to speak, in your mind. I am talking about that chord. This is another quotation from Lakan's seminar, the large seminar on 26 and 27, 1983, printed. Lakan says, he means Shakespeare. Shakespeare chose the story of a hero who is forced to feign madness in order to follow the winding paths that led him to the completion of his act. He is led to feign madness. He said that I'm not really mad, I pretend to be mad. But who knows that who is really mad? Am I mad or not mad? How do you know this? Come here. And even as Pascal says, this is a French thinker of the 17th century, who says, his famous book is Pensée. You can see yourself to be mad along with everyone else. Even to be mad with everyone else. That means after feigning madness for too long, you may be mad. Led to feign madness and led to be mad along with everyone else. Feigning madness is thus one of the dimensions of what we might call the strategy of the modern hero. Sir, this word modern is not my invention. This is Mr. Lakan's. Okay, sir. So I often steal. My whole writing can be called a plagiarism if you do not put the whole thing. Unless I am making a presentation on him, I cannot quote so much. Okay, now comes the question. This is another difficult one. It's called veil of castration. The other is that we know our father is all powerful. Who is called father? Father is powerful, or the powerful is called father. Actually, father and phallus is the same thing. The father is a phallus. That means one who can do everything. Sometimes modern half philosophers like Foucault and others say, oh, power and knowledge. I call them half philosophers for a particular reason. You will see that. Because they despise philosophy and they are philosophers themselves. So I think I'm not unjustified in calling them half philosophers. Lakan calls himself, by the way, anti-philosopher. So what are they saying? This castration means